All right, wake up. Larry Krueger, Damon Bruce. It is Friday morning. Happy October the 18th. As you can tell, I'm here at Levi's. Damon is in his regular spot. It is Chiefs week. Let's go.
Larry, this semester's midterm was last semester's final. The 49ers did not do well on their final exam against the Kansas City Chiefs, and hopefully the midterm goes a whole lot better. Welcome to Wake Up, like and subscribe. Yes, we got a Levi Larry sighting down in Santa Clara. I'm up here in San Francisco, and welcome to you no matter where you are. Hit like and subscribe. Thank you for joining us. And football games just don't get bigger than this in the regular season, Larry. They really don't. This is everything a network could want, a fan could want, and it's the measuring stick that the 49ers are looking to, hey, you got 12 inches on your measuring stick. We got 12 inches too. Let's listen. Hey, I didn't even mean that. I didn't even mean that. But the Kansas City Chiefs remain the measurement of football excellence in this league, and the 49ers have come very close to it, but they've yet to get it done in the playoffs, in the regular season. What will make this Sunday different?
That's a great freaking question. And I don't know that the Niners have the answer, but we're going to find out. It's the Chiefs are the standard. And if you want to know where you're at, this is the team to play. The Niners also, the thing about Kansas City that's interesting is they get beat, but you notice they never get beat in these big games. They always get beat when they just, they underestimate the Raiders, or they no show a game against the Colts or something like that.
Trap games get them.
Trap games. They get up for the big games and they mow you. And then they've owned the Niners. Reed owns Shanahan. The Chiefs own the Niners. They've beaten them 4 straight, 6 out of the last 7. And the best unit on the field between the Niners, offense, defense, special teams, Chiefs, offense, defense, special teams, is the Chiefs defense. And, just watching them, and I took the time to watch the all 22 of their game against the Saints yesterday, which I couldn't believe I had the time to do, but I did squeeze that in. They clutch and grab like more than any team I can remember in recent memory at the line of scrimmage. They dial up. Spags is a genius, and he dials up an array of blitzes. They play a lot of man coverage. A lot of man coverage, and they're really, really good at disrupting the rhythm of a quarterback. And one thing that Spags does, Damon, that's really interesting is he will strategically choose to blow up a few key downs every game with classic, one side overloads, slot pressures. He's just really good at knowing exactly when to blow up a play, an individual play. And they're a difficult defense to do what the Niners like to do, which is to get explosive plays down the field. And they have 3 just elite players. Chris Jones up front, Nick Bolton on that second level, Trent McDuffie on the third level. And though they don't have L'Jarius Sneed, last time the Niners played, they did have Sneed as well. But the last thing is they don't beat themselves. So if you're going to beat Kansas City, you're going to beat Kansas City. They're not going to show up and whiz down their leg and give you a bunch of turnovers. And I asked Kittle yesterday, I said, George, I'm tired of seeing you guys lose to these guys. What's it going to take? And he's like, what are my keys to victory? I'm like, yeah, what's it going to take? And he's like, we got to run the ball 30 plus times and we got to stop turning it over. And I looked it up, Damon, the last 3 games against the Chiefs, the Niners have 7 turnovers. 7 turnovers in the last 3 games. So, you know what? That's it probably right there. Play clean football, run the heck out of it. With who? We can talk about that later. But run the heck out of it. Don't turn it over. And I think you got a chance to win.
We are brought to you by Sam's Chowder House. This game needs to be brought to bear with No, I mean, no mistakes. You're right. And, I know you said we'll talk about it a little later. Larry, I don't think we'd be burying the headline if we're talking about it later. Kittle's first key to success. Oh, no. Oh, look at you. Oh, you went right to the commercial. I wasn't expecting that. I was going to go.
Well, no, I think we can talk over the commercial and just do the show.
Look at that.
I
No
thought one of the
mistakes
things that
made.
we could do going forward, Damon, is on these Friday or on these, these wake ups where Sam's sponsoring us. I'll just intermittently we can still talk about the Niners, but we'll just, in the background, we'll just have
just a little food porn in the background. I like it. I like it. It works. It works. It works.
Just a couple times throughout the show. So if you see that, it's not a mistake. It's by design.
Jordan Mason has to go. You said
Get rid of him?
Kittle just told you his very first key was we got to run this ball 30 times. I don't know how you're running this ball effectively 30 times without a guy like Jordan Mason in this lineup. You've been around practice, Larry. What's your gut telling you on Mason?
Well, beyond my gut, I mean, he's a tough guy. There's no doubt about it. He's been out there on the practice field with the blue jersey. He does look a little bit like he's in a little bit of pain when he's taking his jersey off for sure, because that shoulder, you can tell that AC joint is tender. He is a tough guy. Now, I did hear John Lynch this morning on KMBR driving down here to the studio, and he said that Mason is a tough guy. So I'm kind of regurgitating what Lynch said, but he also said he's betting that JP is going to go. And he goes, "Well, I don't bet, I don't wager, because I can't wager. I'm a general manager." But it's trending towards JP going. But he was also asked about Guerendo and Patrick Taylor, and they feel really good about those guys. I mean, Lynch said Patrick Taylor's a really good football player. They signed him as a free agent from Green Bay. He's a 3-year vet. He had some really good plays. I'll say this about Patrick Taylor. He can catch the ball. He's a bigger back. He can take a hit. He's used to guys going after the football. So it looks like he's got a good, tight grip on the ball. He can catch it better than you think. He runs upright, so he does take some hits, but he's a little bit more substantial as an athlete and as a back than you would think, considering he never has played and it was no fanfare when they signed him. And then, of course, Guerendo, I think a great point that was made, and I forget who it was. Somebody, I think it was yesterday. Somebody made the point that
it's probably me.
No, it was definitely might have been Sorensen. No, it was Forster.
Okay,
Forster made the point yesterday that kind of like Raheem Mostert with Guerendo, guys take the bad angle. So I asked him about the 76-yard run. And I said, man, they had 8 guys on the line of scrimmage, and Pooney kicked out 2 guys, and Guerendo hit it off the hip and was gone. And he said, you know what? The one thing that Guerendo's a lot like Raheem Mostert is that you just don't think he's going to be as fast as he is. So guys consistently take the wrong angle. And even kind of in the soundbite, you can see Chris with his hands, he's like, they think they're going here, and instead they got to be going there. And the same thing with Guerendo, even more so, Damon, because Guerendo's so bulky and he looks like he would be a fullback speed. And he's not only not a fullback speed, he is a sprinter. You know what I mean? So it's optical illusion. They take bad angles and he's gone. And that's what Forster said happened in Seattle. He said, what happened was he said the safety took too aggressive of an angle, not realizing how fast Guerendo was. And that was it. He was gone.
On-field geometry, right? I mean, it's all angles. It really is. And it's easy to, oh boy, what am I going to work in some math jargon here? As you're trying to figure out the hypotenuse to get to the angle of the tackle, Larry, your X and Y axis are way off because you assume that X will not represent Y in a dude that big. So it is easy.
My math ended, by the way, at Algebra 2, Damon. Algebra 2 is when my math ended. I seriously, once we started factoring binomials, I was, that's it. I tapped out. Factoring binomials, I tapped out.
As soon as Pythagorean walked into the room, I walked out of it. It was just, I was not interested in the theorem. I was out. I was out. I avoided a ton of math in college. And you can see to this very day, my terrible math skills are on full display. The amount of number mistakes that I make just trying to do simple math in my head, it's embarrassing. It truly is embarrassing. But hey, I fess up to it. I was not in the library in college. I was at the party. So hopefully you were there with me and we got along at the party. Anyway,
Let's
this
talk
is
subtraction's tricky friend.
totally. I'll tell you what I'm most proud of. Today, we're driving to school, dropping off Jack. Some old Tom Petty song comes on. Not even a popular Tom Petty song.
Petty.
It's not even pop. And
What's
Jack
your
goes,
favorite Tom Petty? I wish if I could have my dream concert, if I could dream up a concert, I'd bring Tom Petty back from the dead and we'd go see him at the Sphere. And
Petty would have rocked at the Sphere. I got to see him
learning
right
to
before
fly.
he died in Greek. Yeah.
The live version. Sometimes on like a Friday night, like tonight, I like to watch a little college football. So after I'm done, I'll watch some Friday night college football, whatever it is. I watch it. And you know what? But sometimes Friday, Saturday night, if I'm having a couple beers or whatever, I like to like find like an old concert, like a live concert, and watch it if I can find one. And Tom Petty in Gatorville or wherever it was, where he has his live concert and it's Learning to Fly and it's
big tree behind him.
Yeah, I mean it's just
awesome. It's great when he gets the whole crowd going. They get all soft and they sing. But anyway, so it's a very stuff. Obscure, very early Tom Petty. My favorite Tom Petty song, by the way, has got to be "Breakdown." Live Breakdown off of Pack Up the Plantation. That live album, that version of Breakdown, I think is the best. Anyway,
that's a good one. Joe says Honeybee.
Great song.
The intro to Honeybee, rocking, man.
Totally.
Free falling. There we go. Free falling.
Random
personal favorite.
By the way, SG Sports Channel, happy birthday. It's that young man's birthday today. Happy birthday, young man.
How'd you know
anyway,
that? How'd you know it was his birthday?
Because he was in the chat yesterday talking about how today was going to be his birthday.
Look at that. Look at you.
I take mental notes, Larry. I didn't pay attention to math, but I pay attention to people.
Look at you.
Anyway, so we're totally obscure Tom Petty song. Jack's like, I like that. Turn it up. He's like, who is that? I said, it's Tom Petty. And my 5-year-old goes, and the Heartbreakers? Yes. Yes. I'm doing a good job as a dad. I am totally crushing this fatherhood thing.
How did he pull that?
He just knew it. I've talked about him enough. He's heard him enough. He's heard the reference, but I never like drilled
because
it into
of the
him.
Indiana connection.
There really is no Indiana connection.
Oh, but you went to Indiana and he's from Indiana, isn't he?
Tom Petty's not from Indiana. He's from Gainesville, Florida.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought he was from Indiana.
Yeah, no,
he's always singing about Indiana, Indiana boy on an Indiana
town. Had a good-looking mama who never was around, but she grew up tall and she grew up right with them Indiana boys on an Indiana night. I love that. Don't get me wrong.
I was assumed he was from Indiana.
That's okay.
Why would a guy from Florida sing about Indiana?
Because it's a great place to meet a hot chick with a hot mom. Anyway, look, it's really important that Jordan Mason plays in this game. The Chiefs probably win this game with Jordan Mason playing. I just don't see a path to victory without Jordan Mason playing, unless you're telling me that Patrick Taylor is about to pull out of his back pocket the same type of performance that Raheem Mostert had in the NFC Championship game back in 2019. It's like, 220 yards out of nowhere from a guy you weren't expecting it from. They gotta have Jordan Mason in this game. And I guess that brings us to another
Did you
bit
see
of
the numbers, by the way, Damon? By the way, against the rushers against Kansas City? Derrick Henry, 46 yards. Zach Moss, 34 yards. Bijan Robinson, who's awesome. He's a stud in Atlanta, 31 yards for Bijan. J.K. Dobbins held him to 32 yards in week 4. And then week 5, Alvin Kamara, 11 carries for 26 yards. It is going to, the Niners have got to figure out a way to run the ball in this game. Kansas City does an amazing job. And I'll tell you the other thing that jumped out to me, Kev found this. I couldn't believe this stat, Damon. This is an amazing one. If you look at the Niners D starts fast and finishes slow. They get worse as the game goes on. They're 4th in the first quarter, 9th in the second quarter, 31st in the third quarter, 21st in the fourth quarter. This is points allowed per quarter. Kansas City, on the other hand, starts slow. 21st in the first quarter, 13th, though, in the second quarter, 2nd in the league in the third quarter, and 11th in the fourth quarter. So that third quarter is going to be one to watch because the Niners are 31st in the NFL, allowing 7.2 points per quarter. In that third, KC gives up 1.2 points per quarter. So that, to me, the game within the game, check out that third quarter and see how that goes for the Niners.
I was talking with Bob Fesco this week, Kansas City broadcaster, and he said it's like Spagnuolo's got a boa constrictor defense. It just gets tighter and tighter and tighter as the game goes along. He even predicted, he's like, the 49ers will score on their first possession. They're going to put up 7 or 3 for sure. And then after that, it's just going to get harder to keep on going down the field and doing that. And I think that there's an awful lot of indication that that's been hard for the 49ers all year. I mean, they've come out with great game plans, and then it feels like there's an erosion of that game plan as the game goes along. So, look, whatever Shanahan is going to dial up, he's going to be having to dial it up through all 4 quarters. He's going to have one of his best games of the entire year for the 49ers to win this game, especially if they're shorthanded in the running back department. So whatever, pocket full of magic Kyle can bring into Levi Stadium, he better bring it with him because he doesn't win without it. He does not win without it. So
I'll go further. I think they need
end around Larry, a wide receiver throwing a pass in this game. Like there could be some high school backyard junk football trickery that the Niners are going to need in this game.
One thing to remember, yesterday and the day before, Damon, JJ didn't practice. Jawan Jennings, I'm talking about, he did not practice. So he's got a hip injury.
Yep.
It looks like, and just on the surface, now I have no sources on this. Lynch was asked about this on CanBR this morning about Pearsall, and they said, Murph threw it out there, is there a chance that Pearsall plays? He's like, oh yeah, absolutely, there's a chance. He made it sound like, Ricky Pearsall absolutely is a viable, go possibility on Sunday. I think, it's interesting. Mayoko, the Cobra, is that what we call him now? The Cobra?
It's the Cobra.
That's a great nickname. The Cobra stung. No, but the Cobra said that that he believes that Pearsall was drafted because the 49ers struggled against the 61% man-to-man coverage pressure and man-to-man coverage that Spags threw at him in the Super Bowl. It was really more like 75% in the second half. A lot of man coverage that the Niner receivers couldn't free themselves up, and that the drafting of Pearsall is like a direct response to that. So I do think it's interesting that they may debut him against Kansas City, because Kansas City is going to play a ton of man, because they saw in the Super Bowl that Brock Purdy is a really smart quarterback who understands where the zone is and where the soft spots in the zone are. And he's just going to all day keep leading his guys to the void in the zone. If you play these zones, you got to play man and challenge him and speed up the game and maybe get burned and maybe make big plays, but you can't sit there in a soft zone. So they're going to play a lot of man. And maybe Pearsall's here. I asked Brock about him yesterday. I said, Brock, how much practice time do you have with Pearsall? And what do you think about, him in the red zone? Can he help you guys? And he, without even me prompting him, Damon, he said, hey, this is a guy who's really good against man coverage. So you know what? I actually kind of think, not to put too much pressure on Ricky, because God knows he's already been through a lot this year, but I think he could be exactly what the doctor ordered as far as the Niners' ability to score touchdowns in the red area. And I think we're going to see it. And there's potential that he hits. Now, there's 2 things that are possible. This could be way too physical for him, and the Chiefs could just muck him up at the line and rough him up, and he backs down from that, and suddenly you've got more of a finesse type player. Or he could push through, break through, and he could give this offense an element and a wrinkle that they don't have right now. So to me, this game Sunday is very, very exciting, because this is the Niners' first round pick. They got a lot on the line, and all eyes will be on Ricky because of what he's been through. But he, I think, has the potential to give this offense a totally different look.
I agree with you. Theoretically, yes, on every single point you just made. Drafting players who can beat man-to-man coverage. That's why Cowing's speed was in the addition. That's why Pearsall's, quick wiggle was, sought after, and all of that is great. if the 49ers need to lean on a rookie making his professional debut to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, they've already lost the game before it starts.
Well,
Okay.
it's just the way it is, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you need every edge. I think they're going to need every edge they can get.
We're literally we've run into this team in Super Bowls. We can't beat them in the regular season. We can't beat them. But a guy who's never played a single snap of professional football is the way that we beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, if he is, awesome, and we're off to a great start in a career, and they'll be singing, songs of Ricky Pearsall around the campfire one day. But I'm going to be really surprised if he has 10 offensive snaps in this game. I'll be shocked if he has more than 10 offensive snaps. Yes, really. You watch fucking Kyle Shanahan go to Ricky Bell.
Ronnie Bell.
Excuse me, Ronnie Bell, not Ricky Bell. You watch him go to Ronnie Bell. Watch him go to Ronnie Bell before he asks Ricky Pearsall to run a route. Watch him.
There is a great affinity, it seems, for Ronnie Bell. I will say this. I have a feeling Sunday on the post game, we will be talking a lot about rookie wide receivers, because on the Chiefs side, they have Xavier Worthy, who's a 4.21 combine record running receiver, who's a true vertical threat. And the Niners have kind of proven, if one thing they've proven this year is that they don't defend verticals. And they haven't, the last couple of weeks hasn't burned them, but I think it's been more personnel related. Now you got a quarterback with a big arm. You've got an offensive coach who watches film. He's going to see the Tutu Atwell 50-yard bomb. He's going to see the Justin Jefferson 97-yard bomb. And he's going to say, I wonder if I have a guy. Yes, I think we'll go up top to Xavier Worthy. So I think it'll be interesting in the postgame. Are we talking about Xavier Worthy? And man, you need that unbelievable sub 4.4 speed. You got to have it, and the Chiefs have it, and the Niners don't, and you got to go get that player. Or are we going to be talking about, man, Ricky Pearsall is unguardable in a short area, and he had 2 touchdowns in the red zone and 3 huge catches on third downs and blah, blah, blah. He's the continuity piece that is incredibly valuable. They're different players, but Ricky's got a 42-inch vert and a 4.41 40 time, so he's not like he's slow or unathletic. I'm eager to see Damon in that post game on Sunday. Are we talking more Worthy, or are we talking more Pearsall?
I have a feeling we're going to be talking more Worthy, because again, I'm Pearsall.
Really?
The first
I don't think so.
Thing, the first thing Ricky Pearsall the first thing I need to see is Ricky Pearsall on.
Do you see that?
Yes, there you go.
We just made a wager. That is a YouTube wager right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Larry, let's see him even if he gets on the fucking field. Okay, I mean, let's start there. Before we even talk about what he does, should he have a target, let's see if Shanahan even lets him on the field. Have I been wrong about a singular rookie wide receiver yet?
Yes, you just called Ronnie Bell Ricky.
Okay, so I've been wrong about the name.
That was blatant wrong name.
But Kyle Shanahan detests rookie.
I don't know. I haven't kept the scorecard, David. I don't know if you're right or wrong.
Look, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because I do need him. But this game's on Debo, Kittle, and Ayuk. Straight up, it's on you guys. This isn't Ricky Pearsall's job to beat the Chiefs. He doesn't even know what the fuck the NFL is yet. You guys do. You guys know what this game is. And it's up to them, and it's up to Nick Bosa, and it's up to Fred Warner, and it's up to Javarius Ward, and it's up to those guys to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, not the rookie who's never done it.
No, but he definitely is going to help them in the red area. I really believe that. So we'll see. But he was a first round draft choice. I mean, I will say this. The one thing that has to be said is the Niners, I asked Ned Colletti about his drafting with the Dodgers, and he told me, the key was that we got really great people. And I'm like, really, Ned? He's like, yeah. Corey Seager is a great person. Clayton Kershaw is a great person. These guys are great people, not just great players. And I think the Niners did that in this draft game. And I mean, I've gone around and talked to every one of these guys now. Dominic Pooney is awesome. I mean, he is like a rock. He's an absolute pillar of a guy. Renardo Green, same way, really solid. Pearsall, really solid. Malik Mustafa, I talked to him for like 10 minutes in the locker room yesterday. And he's just super, super engaged, smart football player. They really got they added a lot of guys to the room who their football IQ as a team went up dramatically in this last draft because they kept adding guys that are like high character guys. So I credit Lynch. I mean, because you never know what kind of guys. It's hard to know, right? I mean, it's hard to know even who can play, let alone what kind of guys these guys
Right.
all are.
Look, character speaks to work ethic. Character speaks to
But good
preparation.
scouting too. Good scouting.
Character is who you are when no one is looking.
Totally.
And if you're going to be a great NFL player, the amount of work that you need to put into your craft when no one is looking, when you're not even in the facility, is immense. So, I understand that that's the starting point. And having said all of that, I will take a 4-time criminal who helps you win a Super Bowl too. You know what I mean? It can't all be choir boys and good guys. You need some guys who are just out there to fuck shit up. And I like that too. You need a little combination. It can't all be choir boys.
I hear you, but I will say this. I agree with you, by the way. It's a rough game played by rough guys, and you can't sit there and be like, every guy here has to be able to babysit my kids. Jerry Jones took Greg Ellis, number 7, when he needed Randy Moss because Greg Ellis can babysit your kids. Well, guess what, Jerry? That's all Greg Ellis can do. You just passed on Randy Moss, for Greg freaking Ellis.
Look, a lot of teams passed on Randy Moss. Randy came out with a heap of problems. He did.
I loved Randy Moss in college.
It was incredible.
But so I totally agree. You have to investigate even some guys who are kind of rough, but rough and like give you an example with the Chiefs in town. We might as well have this discussion. The Chiefs brought in Kareem Hunt.
Right.
The Niners would never touch Kareem Hunt. That's kind of my feeling about it. And to me, I like that line. If a guy puts his hands on a woman, to me, that's the line. It's like, that's the line. And if you really want to stand up, if we want to stand up as a society against that kind of behavior, and we do, I think we need to be a little bit more resolute in our, we're not going to take it, from guys who cross that line and just, you know what I mean? It's like, and the Chiefs are like, hey, we need a running back. We don't care. It was a couple years ago. Come on. Well, that wouldn't happen here because there would be lots of people protesting. And I think that actually makes this a superior place, not an inferior place. The fact that people here have standards and that they're like, you know what? No, I don't care. Yes, I want my team to win. Yes, I want my team to have a good running back, but no, I don't want some guy who punched some girl in the face. I don't want to root for that guy. I don't want that guy on my team. I don't want that guy representing my city, my franchise, the York family, the DeBartolo family. You know what I'm saying? It's I like the fact that the Niners are like, you know what? We want to win, but we're going to draw the line.
Look, I don't care about a guy who got arrested because he smoked a little weed. I don't care. A guy who sold a little weed. That doesn't bother me either. I don't like breaking and entering. That's like violating someone's house. But bar fights and all that shit that guys do when they're young, none of that bothers me. But yeah, you put your hands on a woman. There's nothing to even talk about time. And
they did. They took him. Brett Veach is a great GM, Damon. Andy Reid's is the most celebrated coach in the game. The Chiefs are a model organization, and yet they said, and there's backs everywhere.
Well, look, Rashee Rice is a questionable guy. Tyreek Hill before he got drafted was a questionable background. The Chiefs absolutely have a little bit of a care less about a background
based on what you can do
with us. Look, I mean, Andy Reid's own kids are disasters. They really have been as human beings. So questionable character is something that Andy Reid has underneath his own roof. So of course it's in his locker room as well.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, how do you draw some super hard line on your football players if you can't get your own adult children to abide by law? And it's like, no question about it.
Look, I do like standards for sure.
Yeah.
I do like standards. And I think that when we talk about what the 49ers do represent, they represent the right way. They really do. They represent the right way to do it. Even through the frustrating decisions of Jed York's early ownership tenure and all that stuff. The only that doesn't compute with everything else you're doing was the Alden Smith saga. And I think that that's one moment where they got lost in a player's talent and overlooked his personal shortcomings. And it eventually came back to haunt them, I mean, and
He
Alden
had
Smith.
problems with alcohol, but you know what? I mean, I interviewed Alden probably as much as almost anybody. And he was just an incredibly bright guy, incredibly engaging, just had problems with substance. And the Niners, and he continues to this day to battle. And the Niners are supporting him. I don't know if you saw that, Damon, but when they had the 87 Foundation, or the Golden Heart Foundation, had an event for Dwight Clark, and I think raising money for the Golden Heart Fund, there was Alden Smith. And you know what? I'm sitting there and I saw him on the stage. I'm like, yes, good for the Niners, man. Don't throw that guy out just because he no longer can help you. Put your arm around him and try to help him get through this thing we call life. And you know what? They're doing that. The moments like that, when I see the Niners welcome in Alden Smith, when he can't help them, they can only help him. But guess what? They're going to help him because he is part of the brotherhood of being a 49er player. Not to me, that is what makes me proud to be associated in any way with the 49ers. I think what the Niners do for their players is the model of the NFL. Thank you, Eddie D. Thank you, Jed, for getting the Golden Heart Fund going. Other teams will copy it over time. And it's a smart move, and it's the right thing to do. So anyway, just a little aside. One of the things that's going on right now is that today is the 18th of October. And what that means is we're literally within 2.5 weeks of the NFL trade deadline, and we're starting to hear rumblings every day about different trades. Now, we saw Amari Cooper went to the Bills. I thought that was the best pickup of the week. Devontae Adams went to the Jets. I don't really understand that pickup. I mean, the Jets are going nowhere, but it's hilarious because I heard some Maggie whatever on KMBR, some WFAN personality doing one of those CBS minutes. And she's like, and Devontae Adams is a Jet and the Super Bowl talk is back on. I'm like,
no, it's not.
Super Bowl talk?
No.
What? Your quarterback is old, decrepit, and not very good.
Can't move.
You just got a receiver to clog things more for Garrett Wilson. I mean, come on. You're going Super Bowl. You're not, I mean, you might as well talk about, the Rose Bowl or the Cotton Bowl. You're not going to any of those games either. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, they'll be in the Menike Car Care Bowl before they're in the Super Bowl.
Poland Weed Eater, baby. Here we go.
And join it. It's tonight. It's Ohio State against a pro team in the Rose Bowl. You're just not going to see it. I mean, the Jets are not going to the Super Bowl. But I did see a note yesterday. NFL Rumors says the 49ers reportedly have interest in Panthers running back Miles Sanders. So that's interesting. Not that in Sanders necessarily because he's kind of ordinary, but the fact that they may be kicking tires on a running back. Our good friend Chase Sr., who I'll be streaming with at 10:45 this morning, said he did a whole video saying that he thinks the Niners ought to go all in. First, he said Max Crosby. And by the way, as much as I thought that was crazy, in the last 24 hours, Max Crosby has told the Raiders, I'm all about winning, and that's all I'm about.
Right.
Like basically, he wants out.
If any of that is true, he needs to submit that trade request today. You know what I mean? Like, I think that Max Crosby is the kind of guy who wants to, say the right thing and look like a winner at all times. But, do you really want to get traded? Because how about this, Max, if you really are serious about winning, then you have to leave that franchise because that franchise is not serious about winning.
Said, Damon. Here's what he said. I'm not here to rebuild. I'm here to win. So I don't know whatever that means. This is Crosby saying via Crunch Time Sports on Thursday. He says, but I'm here to win now. Wherever I'm going to be here to win. So that's all that matters to me. So in other words, wherever he's going to be at, he's going to do everything he can to win, but that's all that he cares about. He doesn't care about staying with the Raiders. The Raiders are off to a 2-4 start. Their defense is a joke. They've missed 83 tackles, far and away the most in the league this season. But it's not because of Crosby. Crosby's having a massive year. He leads the NFL in tackles for loss with 9, along with Will Anderson of the Texans and Zach Allen
He's an incredible football player.
27.
He's got all the instincts you could ever want. He's got the size, the speed, the attitude, the drive, the motor, everything that you could ever want in a defensive end. Max Crosby's got more of it than most. No doubt about that. But two things need to happen. Well, three things need to happen for any trade of Max Crosby to the Niners to ever come even put on the table. Number one,
P.F. Chang's has to be here at Levi's, right? P.F. Chang's.
The Raiders would have to want to trade Max Crosby. I don't believe they do. Number two, Max Crosby would have to ask for a trade. I don't care what that quote is. That's not him asking for a trade. So that hasn't happened yet. And number three, Mark Davis would have to fall off one of those really nice balconies at the Cosmo, land and hit his head before he would ever do business with the San Francisco 49ers. So even if Max Crosby were to be traded, the chances of him being traded to the 49ers has got to be somewhere under 5%.
Well,
okay, it's a single-digit number.
I agree. I agree.
One more thing. The amount of assets that you would have to trade to land a player of Max Crosby's ilk are the exact amount of assets that the 49ers are going to need to have for their own going forward with Brock Purdy's new paycheck. I think Max Crosby is commanding a first and a third.
I think that, yeah, I think the Niners, to be completely honest, I mean, I love the name, right? And Chase, Chase is throwing out Crosby. He's also throwing out Dexter Lawrence for the New York Giants. Two guys that I don't understand why either team would trade those guys.
Azeez Ojulari is a Giant that you could have. Dexter Lawrence is not getting traded.
Yeah, well, we don't know. I mean, who knows? I mean, that I don't know. I would say no. I agree. I would say my thought is that Crosby won't get traded and Dexter Lawrence won't get traded. I mean, most of the football people that I know are a believer in the old axiom, which is if you have a guy on your defensive front seven that commands a double team, you don't trade him. That's it. Period. There's so few guys that command double teams up front defensively that if you got a guy like Chris Jones, you sign him. You got a guy like Nick Bosa, you sign him. You don't trade these guys. So it's unbelievable that some of these guys have gotten traded. Some of these premier guys on the defensive line have gotten traded. But that's the rule that I live by. No. Yeah. The guy commands a double team. No, I'm not trading him. But for the Niners purposes, they're $54 million on the cap, under the cap. They are going to roll that over. It's earmarked for Purdy. We all know that. But the 49ers are in a go now mode. This year's before next year. I don't necessarily think it'll be a huge name like a Crosby or a Dexter Lawrence, but I'll tell you the trade that makes a lot of sense. Jacksonville is going nowhere, and they're pretty much out of it. They have Devin Lloyd, a linebacker who was a first-round pick out of Utah a few years ago, really good run defender, really good all-around linebacker. To me, one of the concerns I have for the Niners is there's too much emphasis on Greenlaw coming back, and Greenlaw's coming off a major injury, and I just think that they need a little help here. Campbell Campbell can't do the job. That is clear. The Niners have missed 42 tackles in the last 3 weeks. They don't feel comfortable going with Winters and Graham, I think, because they're kind of young and a little raw, and they feel like those guys will make mistakes. All right, fine, but you can't go with Campbell. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to go, but you can't because you can't stay here, kind of a thing. And I would move off of Campbell. If I could get Devin Lloyd, the other guy that Jacksonville has that I would be very, very interested in if I were the 49ers is Darnell Savage. Darnell Savage is a really good nickel corner, free safety, coverage player, veteran, can play a lot of spots, very fast. They just signed Adrian Amos to their practice squad. The two of them played together in Green Bay. Savage is exactly the piece that the 49ers need. They got a lot of youth on the back end. They need that one veteran cover safety / nickel / he can do it all, who's incredibly fast and smart. That's what Savage is. So if you could get Savage and Lloyd from Jacksonville, that's the deal that I would try to make. And then running backs, I think you can sign running backs. Go if you really like a running back. Miles Sanders is done, man. I don't want Miles Sanders. I'd rather take Imani Bailey off of the Chiefs practice squad. He's 5'7", 210, and he's got great explosiveness. I'd rather do that as if I'm looking for a running back than go for one of these yesteryear guys like Sanders.
Pluck Cody Schrader off the Rams practice squad and get him up if you have to.
He's on the active roster.
Oh, did he get to the active? Oh, good for him.
Yeah,
That's
he's on the
good
active
for him.
roster.
Look, by the way, if you want to make a trade with Jacksonville, I'm sure somebody still got my phone number around there. Give me a call. But look,
you got a friend over here, John Lynch and good old Trent Baalke. I told Jed, hey, Jed, I will deliver you a Super Bowl championship. What I meant was you're going to fire my ass. I'm going to move my ass to Jacksonville with Coach Peterson. Then I'm going to trade you a couple players that help you get over the top, Jed. That's how good old Trent Baalke is going to get back in the graces of Jed freaking York.
The name that I thought that was going to be a real trade candidate, I think there's less of a chance of it happening now. DJ Jones, he didn't have a great game last night, but the Denver Broncos, a 33-10 win in New Orleans, and all of a sudden Sean Payton's got a reason to not start trading players away. So I don't think DJ Jones is going to be showing up, even though it would be a great fit. He's been here. They know him. He knows them. That would have been fantastic. I really think if you're talking about a running back, the Miami Dolphins could be in a little bit of a sale here. And again, you got familiarity with Raheem Mostert. It would not take much to assimilate him quickly into an offense he's familiar with. And I don't think the ask would be that gargantuan. But if you got, McCaffrey on the horizon and Jordan Mason's good enough to go this weekend, plus you want to get Garendo reps, I don't know if adding Raheem Mostert is really the right choice to make, especially for future assets, which again, you need to bank for your own because the entire economy is about to change when Purdy gets paid. Hassan Reddick is there. It's only money. Hassan Reddick is there. It's only money. Bring him in, get him before the bye week gets here and have him come out of the bye week ready to go. Just get it done. I don't, whatever money he was demanding from the New York Jets, he's in no position to demand that anymore. He is officially out of the NFL until somebody brings him back. Coming back in with the 49ers for a prorated 1-year deal would be the only way for a guy like Hassan Reddick to establish some market equity again. So I think it's a right move for both camps, the Niners and Drew Rosenhaus's latest client. Azeez Ojulari, again, you've been talking about him for weeks, Larry. He's gettable. He's not Dexter Lawrence, who has got to be one of the names highlighted in the New York Giants war room saying, can't trade this guy. We're not trading that guy. It doesn't matter where our season goes. We're not going to fucking let go of that guy.
He is their foundation. They're not getting rid of Dexter Lawrence.
Calais Campbell of the Dolphins, again, gettable.
He's an older player.
Gettable, older, veteran, doesn't have a lot of snaps on his body this year, but good pressure rates for a guy who hasn't played that much. The Dolphins do not need him. The Dolphins can have the season that they're going to have without him.
Niners need, I think, more edge rush, and Reddick makes a lot of sense. Here's why they don't need DJ Jones, even though I love DJ Jones, because they got this guy. Look at this guy. This is big Evan Anderson with his guardian cap in the middle. Look at the quickness. He just blows right by Laken Tomlinson. This kid is 6'2", 325, strong as hell, great kid. He can dunk.
He looks like a lollipop out there with a guardian count. He really does.
I know. But I mean, he can dunk. Damon, that's unbelievable. How does a guy that big dunk a basketball? I mean, he's 6'2", but he's 325 and he can dunk.
Well, that's called leg day. He obviously doesn't skip it.
Yeah, the guy's unbelievable though. And here he is, by the way. I'll do one more on this. You can check this kid out. Really good, really great kid. Niners guaranteed him $280,000, which they never do. And I was like, wow, they must really love this kid. And sure enough,
power forward,
he comes in. Let me see if I can grow this real quick. There we go. And here we go. This is just a minute.
By the way, he looks like
Evan
15.
Anderson.
Look at him. He looks like he's 15. If that kid showed up on my front porch in a couple weeks asking me like trick or treat, I'm going as a 49er player. I'd be like, what do you go to Reardon? Where are you from?
Listen to this.
Can you dunk?
Yeah, I can dunk.
You're a destroyer in the run game, but you got quick feet. Where do those quick feet come from?
I played basketball.
Did you?
Yeah.
Power forward? Center?
Not center. Oh, yeah, I play center.
Okay. Can you dunk?
Yeah, I can dunk.
So what do you see? You're 6'2",
Yeah, 6'2".
6'2", 320, and you can dunk, huh?
Yeah. I could dunk since like I was in the 12th grade.
No, I don't think you're dunking in here. That thing's like 20 feet. The hoop we got in here.
Yeah, that's how.
Yeah.
I don't know. I ain't tried.
But you're a hoopster, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So, was that what you played in high school? Hoops and football, or did you play anything else?
I had played basketball in high school until I got hurt, and then I stopped playing.
What's your move? You got to move. You got to drop step. You got to up and under. Or
I really like to tell people I'm like,
are you a shooter?
No, I'm not a shooter. I play good defense. I say I'm like Shaq and Zion.
Okay, you're like Shaq.
Like Shaq
Zion. There you go. Can you dunk?
Yeah, I can dunk.
I just like to compare myself to two of the most physical specimens that have ever played the game. That's just where I come from.
I love it. Great attitude though, and really talented, Damon. Really, I mean, seriously, I mean, they put this kid out there in 2 games, and he's getting pressures. He's rushing the passer. He's making plays against the run. He's commanding the double team. He's keeping bodies off of Fred Warner and Campbell on that second level. They have found something with this kid, and he plays a very valuable position. And when you have structured your defense the way the Niners have, with kind of undersized linebackers that like to run, you got to have guys that can protect their legs, and this kid absolutely can. He's just very, very strong at the point of attack. He can split double teams and give you a little pass rush. So in a lot of ways, Evan Anderson is a lot of the things that DJ Jones is. If you can only get one piece, I mean, I like my idea of Lloyd and Savage, but if I could, I love your idea as well of Reddick, because Reddick had 11 sacks last year. He's had 4 years in a row of double-digit sacks. There's hardly anybody in the NFL that can say that. He's also a speed merchant off the edge who's kind of like a healthier version of D Ford. So I kind of, D Ford, we forget when the Niners had D Ford and he would beat guys out of their stance and just swipe at that ball. He was one of the more valuable defensive players. He just got hurt. His body didn't hold up. Reddick,
he was really great
healthy,
for those 6 games.
Yeah. But if Reddick's healthy, he is a lot like D Ford. And that means that, and that to me, watching Leonard Floyd, Damon, I'd like to see Leonard Floyd kind of, maybe shrunk down his role. Don't ask him to play every down on defensive end. Let him, he's not playing every down, but don't get his usage down a little bit to just key third downs. And I think he'd be a whole lot better.
Think about it too. You could bring in Reddick, costs you nothing but money, and you got plenty of that. You bring him in, first day of practice. He walks out on that practice field. He goes right up to Purdy. Little kiss on the elbow, says, "I'm sorry." And then you just get to work. You just get to work.
Sorry that I yanked your elbow out and caused you to have to do rehab for thousands of hours. How'd it go, by the way? You're looking pretty good.
It went great. It really did. Again, Purdy's starting point, and then the hole that he had to climb out of so early in his career, and looking at what he's done, it's really a hell of a story. It really is. I want to get into what might surprise the Chiefs. Oh, first of all, you know what always surprises me? When I don't want any more pizza, I can't order Chinese food again. Not another cheeseburger. Give me a little seafood. Give me a little seafood, if you would, please. Right there. Doesn't that look good?
We're not even thinking. We're not thinking clearly, Damon. This is what the Niners have to do. Have you ever had just a gigantic lobster roll and just covered it with butter and just smoked it down? Just huge roll, just tons of chips, and eat the whole thing.
Yes.
What we got to do is we got to have Sam's cater the Chiefs, pregame, and just load those guys up with these just absolutely the most filling lobster roll. Those guys it won't even be the second half. They'll be taking a nap.
They got to run.
They got to keep running back.
Got to run back to the locker room for all those seafood butter dumps that come around the corner after. Yeah, it'd be good. Fill them up with butter and seafood and get them all moving slower. And maybe even somebody is allergic to shellfish. That's even what
was the key to stopping Chris Jones? Oysters, Rockefeller.
About 24 oysters on the half shell. We sent a couple bottle little champagne flute right there. He was a little drunk. He was a little stuffed. Niners ran right at him.
The Chiefs are just the happiest team. They take the field. They're so happy. They just can't play.
go ahead and get down to Sam's. And Sam's, if you can get into the Chiefs locker room pregame, that would be fantastic. That would absolutely surprise the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes if there was a pregame, pre-meal, pregame buffet of paella and cioppino and lobster rolls. What do you think would surprise the Chiefs? It's really hard to surprise Andy Reid and the Chiefs. There's no doubt about that. But would you pull out some upfront exotics where you're given, 6, 7-man, 5-man fronts with Bosa in the middle just to give him a different look, Larry? Are you going aggressive blitz? You going corner blitz? You thinking safety blitz? Blitz Patrick Mahomes at your own risk, by the way. He's always been that type of a player. I'll tell you the one thing that would surprise the Chiefs, if there were actually penalties called on them that got them off schedule. That doesn't happen very often. You talked about earlier, the Chiefs don't beat themselves. Well, the officials working Chiefs games usually don't beat the Chiefs either. So that's something that the 49ers need to pay close attention to. And look, the 49ers might need to be the team that gets tricky on special teams. And we talked about this on Wednesday, the stolen possession. If you can't turn Patrick Mahomes over, you might have to go fake punt. You seriously might have to do a fake punt in this game if you are, desperate for points in the second half and you're going nowhere fast. So,
well, you saw the last time you saw that quarterback series, right? When Mahomes was saying, "Hey, they brought the safety up. They brought the safety up." In other words, we're going up top, and he was all excited. Oh, look at the Niners! The Niners brought their safety up, and so now they're naked down the field. So I think there's a very good chance that, first of all, you can't give Mahomes one look. That's just not the way it works. You can't give him one look. You got to give him a bunch of looks. But I think you got to make a decision too. What do you want to do with Mahomes? Do you want to, play back, let him dominate the time of possession and test his patience, but maybe keep your defense on the field all day with some soft, kind of make them drive the length of the field. Don't give them the verticals, keep everything in front of you, but then allow them to kind of dominate you slow death. I think Niners have done that in the past. I don't think they want to live that way. I think the better game plan is live on the edge, send extra guys, mix it up, see if you can get his clock. You have to interrupt Mahomes somehow, some way. You don't want to see him run, so you can't play man coverage and turn your back and give him rush lanes. You have to have a really well coordinated. To me, this is a 3-level thing. You got to have a really well coordinated rush. You can't have lots and lots of stunts and movement and games up front because you can't afford to give him true avenues. If you give him a clear avenue, he will take it. And it's like Brock Purdy. I mean, he's a smart player. He knows what kind of coverage you're playing, when to run, where to run, how to run. So that, to me, it's like you have to make sure that you challenge Mahomes as much as you can up front, hug up coverage, and dare them to throw it over the top of your head. And hopefully you can stand up to Worthy and the officials and the calls. Otherwise, if you just hang back and then you let Patrick get into a rhythm, then they dominate time of possession, then you have nothing. And then then it's just a slow death and they possess the ball for 38 minutes and you lose, 24-13 or something like that. I don't want to see that. I want to see the Niners challenge them. And I want to see, and I asked the defensive coordinator Sorensen about Campbell because the numbers are screaming that Campbell has got to be replaced. And he's like, Campbell's doing a really good job. And I'm like, that is the one disconnect between what the information shows and what the film shows and what I'm hearing from the 49ers.
Right, what the coach believes.
He told me yesterday that he's playing really well. And here's the numbers. He's allowing a 115.6 quarterback rating when targeted. That's a great quarterback rating.
That's a Hall of Fame quarterback rating.
Right. He's he's allowing a reception on 89.3% of the targets. So that's a reception percentage of near 90%. That's 10th worst in football. He's missed 8 tackles. He's got a 19% missed tackle rate which is the 4th worst in football, and he's the 3rd worst tackle grade, a graded player in the entire league by PFF. So, I mean, what are we talking about? He's playing
Well, and
good.
it's the thing. Just use your own 2 eyes. And let me tell you what's going to happen. Travis Kelce, who is underperformed in every single week he's seen, is going to have a 2-touchdown game if it's Devontae Campbell on Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's going to find the fountain of youth, so much so that Taylor Smith might dump him for an older man if she's into older men. Like you look out, man. If Travis Kelce is going off in this game, it's because Campbell is getting cooked by him.
Well, and here's the question. Here it is, right here. I'm going to share it with you guys. You guys can all see it. This is Sorensen down here, and I asked him this question, and I don't know. I don't know about this answer. I mean, I like Sorensen. He seems like a nice enough guy, but I don't know about this answer. Let me back this thing up so you can hear it. Here we go.
There's been 42 missed tackles in the last 3 weeks, and Campbell's missed, I think, 8 or 9 of them. Obviously, you're going with him. Why is he a better option than Winters or Graham?
We like both of them. I mean, they've both been getting snaps. Talking about D and Devondre, he's got so much experience. He brings a calmness. He understands the scheme, and he's been doing a really good job. And we've also been rotating D in there as well. So just like both of them.
So I mean, he likes both of them, but he's not doing a really good job. And if a guy was doing a really good job, you probably wouldn't want to rotate a second guy in anyway. But I mean, he's getting, teams do at the beginning of the game what they've been thinking about doing all week. What did Seattle do at the beginning of the game? They got DK Metcalf isolated on Campbell in a zone, and they just exploited him. He ran right by him, and Campbell was in full trail mode, never got a finger on him. What did Arizona do early in the game the week before? They ran Kyler Murray off the edge, and he ran right by the outside shoulder of Devondre Campbell, didn't get a finger on him. He's a hardworking guy. He's a big body. He is a veteran. He does line up in the right spot, but his lateral agility has shot, and he doesn't come off of blocks. He's lost that explosive ability. He's lost that movement ability. Winters is smaller, and he's also not reliable. He's going to miss some tackles, Damon, but he's way, way, way faster. I want to see Jalen Graham. Graham, I think, would miss a couple tackles. He'll fall off a couple. He will make a ton of tackles. If you play Jalen Graham as much as Devondre Campbell's, gotten plays, the same usage rate as Campbell, Graham would have 15 tackles in some of these games. He flies around. He can make plays. I want to see a younger, faster linebacker, or I want to see a trade for a Devin Lloyd. I don't want to see Devondre Campbell getting toasted all year. Devondre Campbell is this year's Isaiah Oliver, free agent that you signed in the offseason that you're too wed to because of some investment. It's a sunken cost. The money's gone. The decision's been made. The player is not as a shadow of what he was in 2021. Recognize that and adjust. Instead, we keep lying to ourselves, and he's looking great. No, he's not looking great. He's looking horrible. And he's getting picked on. And I have a buddy who scouts who called me this week, Damon. He's like, the Niners are going down and they're going to lose to the Chiefs. I said, why? Before he could even say anything else, he's like, Andy Reid is going to crucify Devondre Campbell in coverage.
Yeah, dude, Andy Reid is 21-4 coming off of a bye week. He didn't need a bye week to know where his offense is going. I mean, he is going to pick on Devondre Campbell like he picks on the last donut in the box. He's going to be all over it. He's going to be all over it, man. And
the crumb. He's going to be on Devondre Campbell like a crumb donut.
It really is, Larry.
Which is a very delicious donut.
I like a crumb donut, indeed. I like a good old, like crusty old fashioned, no even frosting on it. It's a good coffee donut. I'm a big coffee guy.
You talking about the cake? Old fashioned.
This might be the hard lesson. This might be the hard lesson this weekend that gets Devondre Campbell off the field. If there's going to be maybe a possible, like, what good could come out of losing this game? Well, it's you lose Devondre Campbell for the rest of the year, and this team stops publicly believing in him in the press conference, and just it's over. Because I think the 49ers will be a better team with less Devondre Campbell involvement.
Brian Gutekunst is a very good general manager. Okay, if he kisses you off intentionally, you're probably done.
Right. I mean, the Green Bay Packers think they're very much in a window to compete for a championship. And
they needed a
wouldn't-
linebacker.
Right.
They
They wouldn't
drafted
say goodbye to that
the
player.
guy from A&M in like the second round or something like that. They needed a linebacker, and yet they let Campbell walk. That should speak volumes. Anyway, it's just, and he was a good player in 2021, but guess
Right.
what? It's 2024. So there you go. Should we hit some supers?
Well, before we get to the supers, and then we'll jump right into them. Did you hear what Steve Young said about Kyle Shanahan and Brandon Ayuk with Tolbert the other night? Through 6 games, no touchdowns for Ayuk, 23 catches on 41 targets, and it just, it has not gone well for Ayuk yet. He had one good game, one productive high volume game. And Steve Young said it feels like Kyle puts people in the corner with the dunce cap on sometimes. You ever think about Kyle a little bit that I'm sure he doesn't, because he's out there, every week trying to slay the dragon, but he needs everybody, every bit of help. But it feels like the players that are called, there's a combination that puts people in position to thrive. And Brandon Ayuk needs to demand it that way. In other words, Brandon Ayuk needs to walk up to Kyle Shanahan and be like, dude, you gave me $30 million fucking dollars. Now give me the goddamn ball too. Just giving me the money doesn't make any sense unless you give me the ball. And there has to, I think, be a dedication. And this has sounded like what Steve Young was implying, that you got to force feed this guy. You have to get him involved, even if, the entire team's id is to spread it around and everybody gets a touch and this, that, the other. Yeah, that's all great. That's all. Balance is wonderful. But sometimes in order to find your balance, you need to get a little imbalanced, and you need to, when something works, go after it. Like Andy Reid is going to see how bad Devondre Campbell is, and he is going to keep attacking that until the 49ers get him off the field.
Right. It's going to be like Jimmer Fredette trying to defend in the NBA. Right. Everybody's running Jimmer down to the low block until Sacramento says, you know what, Jimmer, sit down.
Maybe China. Maybe it's time to go to China, Jimmer. But it's
you would be big in Beijing. You would be special in Beijing. Here is Steve, by the way.
It's time for Kyle to get his best player the football by hook or crook or forcing it. And you need to stop showing us how clever you can be and how one thing sets up something else. Here's the thing. There's no reason to go to the thing that you were setting up if the thing that you're doing to set it up is working. So just keep hammering the nail that's sticking out of the wood, for goodness sakes, right? I mean, I
thought this was an audio cut, but it's actually not. So
what
about that?
Sorry.
I thought I was going to play you a Steve Young cut, but in reality, there's no cut there. It's just a little. Anyways, somebody says Jimmer's big in the 3-on-3.
I think
Jimmer's big in the 3-on-3.
Look out, 3-on-3, Jimmer. Dude, I got love for Jimmer. He was a damn good basketball player. He really was.
Yeah, he was.
But look, it's time for Kyle to beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
I don't think he's going to do it this weekend. I really don't think it's going to happen this weekend. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong. I'm doing a watch party. I don't want to be sitting here playing I told you so for 4 hours during the watch party. But as flawed as the Chiefs are, they are just built to give the 49ers problems. And it feels like the 49ers have yet to find themselves built to really give the Chiefs problems. And if they aren't leaning into Ricky Pearsall in his first ever game, if they don't get Jordan Mason, if Jawan Jennings is out, if you got, an off the street safety against Patrick Mahomes, if you're not getting calls for holds, and if Bosa's not turning into TJ Watt, they're in trouble this weekend, man. Leonard Floyd, dude, you need to have a game. You need to show up this week. It is all hands on deck. If Fred Warner has got to, can he have a 32 tackle game? Because he might need to.
Can the Niners be +2 in the turnover ratio at the end of the day? I mean, can they actually, B plus in the turnover margin? I think that's what they need in this game. Yeah. I mean, that, or this might be the game where the Niners may need to steal a possession. But yeah, the 49ers are going to have to slow down this Kansas City offense, which I don't care what the numbers say. It's still, they're leaning on some older guys. They don't have the speed they used to have, but they still have, they have Kareem Hunt, and he's coming off a good game. They have Juju Smith-Schuster back. He's coming off a good game. So their weapons, if you look at them, are kind of, it's Xavier Worthy and some guys that are pretty freaking long in the tooth. And they got some older guys. But it's a really, really dominating interior offensive line. You got to burn Taylor and Morris, the tackles. If you're going to pressure, you got to pressure off the edges, because you really got to take advantage of their offensive tackles. And I think, this is the game where you got to know your personnel. It's kind of like you're playing a basketball game. Do you hug up on the shooter? Well, you do if he's Klay Thompson, but you don't if it's Kelly Oubre, right? You invite Kelly Oubre to shoot the three. You don't invite Klay to shoot the three. Well, that's you play off Xavier Worthy, but you hug up on everybody else. So you hug up on Kelsey and you hug up on Kareem Hunt. To me, I think it's going to be really interesting to see, does Andy feel like he can throw the screen to Kareem Hunt? The Niners really struggled to tackle Kareem Hunt in Cleveland last year on some of those screens. Did Andy look at that film? Does he attack the Niners with screens? I think there's a very good chance. To me, as I said in that clip to Sorensen, because I wanted to tell him that I wanted to put that out there. Just kind of, the Niners have missed 42 tackles in the last 3 games. Tackling will be the key in this game. You have to tackle Kareem Hunt. You have to tackle Juju Smith-Schuster.
Right now, the Kansas City Chiefs, Larry, are leading the NFL in the category that the 49ers used to lead the NFL in, and are now dead last in yak yards after catch. The Chiefs catch the ball and then they go. So you
can't be the reality
right there.
Yeah, no question. No, that's a good point. You have to limit their rack. Simple as that. Yes. And then ultimately, one thing the Chiefs did last year that I thought was genius. They won the Super Bowl on a year where it was a transition year and they didn't really get what they wanted out of their personnel, right? John Lynch made a great point today. He's like, their personnel makes sense. And it really does. They have complementary players and it makes sense for how they want to play, the kinds of players they get, so on and so forth. But you have to really have an idea of who you're going up against and what they're trying to do. Last year, they basically stopped using anybody but Rashee Rice, Pacheco, and Kelsey. And if Rashee Rice wasn't available or wasn't open, and Kelsey wasn't open, and it wasn't a run play to Pacheco, Mahomes just ran himself. And that was it. And in the playoffs against Baltimore, when they got on the road in the AFC title game, they didn't even run outside the guards. They literally ran it in the A gaps against Baltimore because they knew that's where their advantage was. So Kansas City will do one thing so well, is that when they decide they're not going to take any chances with the ball, it really puts a premium on turnovers because they won't turn it over. And then if you turn it over even once or twice, now you're -2 on the turnover table and you lose by 14 points. So they take care of the ball and they'll go an entire game where they don't try to do very much just because they feel like, you know what, we're only going to go to what we think is an advantage to us. So they'll run it up the middle and they'll throw screen passes to Hunt. They'll go up top to Worthy. They'll look for Kelsey on 3rd down. That's pretty much it. And you look for Mahomes. Don't give Mahomes obvious run lanes because he will take them every single time.
It's the old, ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's what good coaches do. You lean into your strengths, avoid your weaknesses, and that's part of the plan. And it feels like Kyle at times wants to just show you how diverse his scheme is, how much everybody gets to eat, that he will go away from something's working to see if he can get something else to work. And that is that's a 2nd and 12 play that didn't go for the yards you needed to make it a 3rd and short. And that's bull. I'll tell you though, I don't want to do yesterday's show that I did, on this show as well, but there are so many similarities between Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid. I mean, remember, Andy Reid is still the Eagles' all-time wins leader. Kyle Shanahan is 3 years away from being the 49ers' all-time wins leader. He's already 3rd in playoff wins. He is going to be, unless something, unforeseen happens in the next 3-4 years of Kyle's coaching tenure, He is going to be the all-time leader in games coached by the 49ers. He will be that guy. He has burnt out in NFC title games. He is like Andy Reid, gone to a Super Bowl and run into the only coach and quarterback combo that is officially better than his. You know, Andy Reid with Donovan McNabb and the Eagles ran into Belichick and Brady. You got Kyle continuing to run into Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. It took 21 years for Andy Reid to win his first Super Bowl in Kansas City. Kyle,
I talked about this the other night on the radio. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, and he needs, look, Kyle needs to, when Andy Reid was in Philadelphia, he did have problem with trying to be too clever offensively. He did have clock management problems. The criticisms were legitimate. Kyle's got some legitimate criticisms on him, and it sounded like Steve Young was trying to offer one up on KNBR. Maybe this goes back to Willie Snead and the favorites and the doghouse and blah, blah, blah. But like, Kyle's got to remove his ego from the game plan, and I think that the game plan would improve.
What's his? I don't explain what you're talking about. Where do you feel his ego gets in the game?
It's time to just hand the ball to Jordan Mason on 4th and 2. Don't come up with, you're not going to get whatever clever.
You want to see him run the ball more.
Kyle wants to show you the full breadth and depth of his playbook, where Andy Reid will literally hump the shit out of 3 plays.
But
that
you know,
are
it is
working for him all game long.
I think there are differences, but it is interesting. This year, the Chiefs are worse than the Niners as far as touchdowns in the red zone.
Yeah.
And I think of Andy Reid as the ultimate red zone coach. In fact, I was, one of the things that I'd love to, ask the defensive coordinator about, I forgot to yesterday. So much of what Andy does on the goal line is east-west, and like he'll give you like a pre-snap run look, and it might be like a pre-snap run to the right look, where it's like he's got a bunch of big bodies on the right side, and then you just know that he's going left. You know what I mean? Or he'll go, all the actions going left, and then the receivers going right. He does this east-west stuff and spreads you horizontally, and it just puts so much pressure on the defense. We even saw it in the game-winning touchdown. I mean, he rolls Mahomes out to the same side as McCole Hardman, and it's like, you got one defender over there. You're going to take the quarterback and leave the receiver open. You can take the receiver and let Mahomes run it. And it's like,
right, you get no man landed and it's over.
Yeah, you're in no man land, and all of a sudden it's done. This is interesting. I think this is breaking news potentially. I don't know if this is how credible this is, but NFL Rumors is reporting the 49ers are expected to open the 21-day practice window after the bye week for Christian McCaffrey. So maybe you'll see McCaffrey against Dallas.
Well, it's after the bye week, you said.
Yeah. Oh, after the bye week. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So it goes KC, Dallas, then the bye week. You're right. My bad. Yeah. So at least that means he's at least 3 more weeks away.
By the way, so I have a neighbor, my neighbor Tim, my across the street neighbor, who is a Packers fan.
I saw his sign.
He had a Christian McCaffrey jersey on a skeleton that was laying down in his front yard for a Halloween decoration. The skeleton has been upgraded to now upright with a walker. So he's trying to monitor the Christian McCaffrey return to the season through his skeleton placement. So when the practice window opens, maybe the walker will be gone of the Christian McCaffrey skeleton. And so we're monitoring that injury in a whole bunch of different ways here in San Francisco, Larry, is what I basically want to tell you. Let's hop into some supers, man. I see we got plenty of them today.
Let's do it. JD's in the house. He says, can Campbell kick so he has a decent chance at covering someone and we don't get any more kickers injured?
Yeah, again, another reason to be worried, because you could be on a kicker who outside of 35 yards turns into a question mark. Maybe that'll actually be good for the 49ers, though. Kyle's not going to be settling for a long field goal on 4th and 3 or 4th and 4. He's going to go for it. I hope he does. Field goals get you beat against Kansas City. That's for sure.
It cracked me up this morning because I did an interview this week with the Niners' newest kicker, And I said, "Hey, Anders, how you doing, man? Larry Krueger, KMBR, nice to meet you. I'd love to talk to you." And he's like, "Hey, no offense, but it's Anders. It's
Ooh,
Anders."
Anders. Let's
And I
get it
said,
right.
Anders, you know what? I sorry for fucking that up, man. I didn't mean to do that." And he's like, "No, I just since I'm new, I just like to let
Get it
people
right.
know that it's
Here's the
Anders."
thing.
So
The worst is when a player lets you mispronounce his name for like several weeks, and then he's like, "What freaking who was
who's that?
everyone,
Dario Saric.
everyone called him Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor. Like 9 years into the guy's career, he's like, actually, it's Tyrod. It's like, oh, now you're fucking telling us?
Oh, it's like Terrell Owens versus Terrell Owens. But yeah, no, remember Darko or not remember Dario Saric? It's Saric.
Sharich. Oh, are you sure about that?
Yeah, it's Saric.
Saric.
Dario Saric. It's awesome. Anyway, but
goddamn 3, Dario.
yeah, seriously.
What do you know about nachos, Dario?
Dario Saric. Anyway, so but the thing that cracked me up is I'm listening this morning and Lynch is like, "Yeah, we got our new kicker, Anders." Like, dude, you're the GM. He goes by Anders. So anyway, Anders, and then Lynch shared that Shanahan at the team meeting was like, said something like, "And what's the name of our kicker again?" It's like he didn't even remember the name of the kicker. At this point, you know what? Anybody just don't try to tackle anybody.
Look at it this way. You go ahead and you hit your field goals. We will get this pronunciation right in the post game, young man.
Niner kickers, man, they could flat out hit. Fuji Simeon. Who does Chris Jones line up against? Pooney or Brendel? Pooney.
Yeah.
Poonster, big game on Sunday for Poon.
It'd be interesting to see whether or not they move Jones around if Pooney turns into a handful for him.
Yeah. Fuji, and by the way, I shouldn't just say that like, oh, it's Pooney. If the one thing that came out when I watched the All-22 is they will move Chris Jones all around. And I think Chris Jones is actually probably most dangerous as a defensive end. He is a really, really dangerous defensive end. He can dip his shoulder. He can bend. He's one of the only defensive tackles I've ever seen who bounces out to the end and has the kind of body lean like a regular full-time defensive end. I mean, he's an impressive player. He really is. Fuji Simeon says, Damon, IU up against Nebraska. How do you feel about IU's chances? Is it too early to whisper of a dream? Big Ten championship game, possibly the playoffs. They got a guy named Kamara that's pretty good, huh? Kamara, you seen him?
Yes, I have. They got a stable of running backs. They might have the best group of wide receivers in the nation if productivity means anything. And their quarterback is I think an NFL quarterback, Larry. There's an offense in Bloomington for real, and there's a defense that knows how to play too. And it's again, I don't want to predict anything, but this is as big of a home game as Indiana has ever had in Bloomington, because if they win, it sets up then Washington coming to town, and then after that it's Michigan, and like there's a chance that Indiana being included in the first ever college football playoff might be out there for them. And that just feels like way too much of a mouthful. Beat Nebraska, and then we'll talk once again. The Fox Big Noon kickoff broadcast will be coming from Bloomington this weekend. So still haven't gotten a game day, but all I can tell you is if you're a blonde in a bar on Kirkwood in Bloomington, make sure you keep an eye on Urban Meyer's hands, because he might be all up in your pooch.
Oh my God. By the way, quarterback to keep your eye on that I've checked out. Portland State has a quarterback named.
Stop. No one's watching any Portland State football, Larry.
Dante Chahare, whose brother is in the NFL. This guy is 6'3", about 200 pounds. Damon is one of the great athletes I think I've seen play quarterback. This guy's got a 40-inch vertical, and he runs in the 4.3s. Dante Chahare.
I've always said the greatest athletes usually choose Portland State on their way to greatness. So
Portland State. Remember that name. Greg RJZ.
RJZ, baby.
Says, fact, refs on every game, Queefs play, they don't get blatant penalties called. This isn't a Niners thing. This is an NFL thing. I hear every team say this.
I think 16 career interceptions have been nullified by a change of call for Patrick Mahomes. That does feel a little protected or something like that. It's an absurd amount of that interception that Patrick Mahomes threw has now been, oh, there's pass interference. Didn't happen, everyone. Replay third down, Chiefs. There's no doubt there are teams that are favored by officials, and the Kansas City Chiefs are one of them. So we'll see what that means.
I hope Taylor Swift gets heckled.
I don't
Fuji
think
Simeon.
she's going to be there, Larry. I saw a picture of her in Miami. I think she's got a concert in Miami this weekend. So I don't think she's going to be in Santa Clara.
She can't make it. She can't make it out to Santa Clara. Fuji Simeon says, it's okay, Larry. You don't need the extra levels of math. As you previously said, as an SI alum, you don't need to know all that advanced stuff. Just hire a Reardon or SH alum to work for you as a math guy. You know what? Here's the thing about it. I don't even think they teach math at SH or Reardon, do they? I thought they just eliminated math altogether. That's what I had heard, that Reardon and SH had canceled math.
Look at you. You know, how do you get the Reardon alumni off your front porch? You pay him for the pizza?
SH, you're phony. We got the Bruce Mahoney. John Kalua says, people keep saying BA is rounding into football shape, but it looks like Purdy doesn't trust BA like last year. Is chemistry and trust still an issue? I don't think it's an issue. I think Brock wants to win, and he'll throw it to whoever's open. I think BA was in decent shape for you and I, but he wasn't in football shape. You should have seen him huffing and puffing after those first couple practices. I mean, he was sweating like a dog and huffing like he hadn't run routes in years. So, to get to the level that he was at last year, people forget that was an extraordinary level he was at. So it wasn't just like his normal level. He was really peaking last year. So now it's hard to get to your peaking self. But what I'm seeing is a guy who looks better and better and better every single time out there. So I expect he's going to be a major factor this weekend. I really do. And it is time to force feed him the ball. Fuji Simeon says, I'm surprised the money list isn't shifting to Kansas City. No, actually the number's going towards the Niners, huh? Isn't it moved a half point towards the Niners?
Has it?
Jan Shozla. I just heard Baldy praising Tavondre Sweat. I wish we had that 365-pound hole-plugging, space-eating ballerina. Yeah, I love Tavondre at Texas, man. The guy is kind of reminds me of kind of like a Jerry Ball, just as wide as he is tall. I mean,
you go back and watch old Lions tapes, kids. Jerry Ball.
I mean, just literally like a human wall.
He used
Michael Carter and Jerry Ball both played nose guard for SMU.
Jerry
Ball,
they
had a little factory going there.
One of the only guys who used to eat up the Bears offense. He ate up all offensive lines. That guy was insanely good.
I'll tell you, looking at some of the prospects already for this upcoming draft in next April. Kenneth Grant, go watch that guy. He's
Larry. I got to tell you,
360-pound defensive tackle from Michigan.
There's a quarterback from Portland State that only I am talking about.
Yes. Do not steal my point. If I see a video from
I'm going to do a Portland State video today. You're going to be on with Chase. I'm doing the Portland State video. I'm going to beat you to the marketplace.
Look at that. Fuji Simeon says, would you rather trade for Crosby or Hendrickson? I'd rather have Crosby because Hendrickson is a free agent at the end of the year. So you're going to have to pay a high price either way. At least Crosby, you're getting a guy that's signed and young and 27. And I mean, Crosby's awesome. Crosby's younger than Hendrickson. I mean, Crosby's a car with 45,000 miles. Hendrickson's got 95,000 miles. It's like, I think I'd take the less mileage guy. Fuji Simeon says, let's play fantasy. Hypothetically, what would you be trading Purdy? What would trading Purdy get the 49ers? How about Bosa, Warner, Shanahan? Just hypothetical, of course. Oh, I mean, come on. Purdy's getting you multiple ones. Bosa's getting you multiple ones. Warner's probably getting you a one.
He's getting
Shanahan
deals. Yeah, I mean,
Shanahan maybe a couple twos. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
hard to say.
That's so hypothetical. There's almost no reason to even do it. But thank you, Fuji Simeon, as always, for your super chat generosity.
Your contribution to the show. John Kalua says Nick Bosa is held back by demeanor. Who's demeanor? Is that a coach? I want Justin Smith, Warren Sapp, Lyle Alzado. I don't think Lyle Alzado's still with us. Let's just say linemen wouldn't dare hold those guys by game's end. It's not his demeanor, but I do think that he needs to stop being, people have said, oh, Brock needs to stop playing hero ball, which was an idiotic comment. But Nick Bosa needs to stop playing Superman. He can get through two guys holding him and still get to the quarterback. It doesn't mean he should, and it doesn't mean those guys shouldn't get called. I would like to see the 49ers get some calls here. Nick Bosa and Leonard Floyd are going to burn these tackles. Those tackles are going to have to hold Nick Bosa and Leonard Floyd. If they do, I want to see the Niners get the call.
Well,
and I want to see Shanahan argue for that in the pregame.
Pregame, postgame, I mean, it needs to be brought up, and there's going to be a big fine that comes with it, but everybody involved is fucking rich. So pay the fine and get this in the public domain that there is a goddamn conspiracy going on against our best defensive player. And look at it this way. Phil Jackson would talk about nothing else. If he were coaching the San Francisco 49ers, Phil Jackson would only talk about how Nick Bosa is getting screwed by the officials every game, and he'd pay the fine, and then they'd go win the NBA title. So I think Shanahan needs to bring it up.
I agree. Chris Herdlick says Niners need a new center. If we don't have anyone better than Brendel, no idea he's a starter in the NFL. Huge issue. The coaching staff pretends he is good. They like Brendel. I mean, Forrester likes Brendel. I asked him about Brendel 3 weeks ago. He said, hey, yeah, he does Sixers. I'll say this. I think Nugent might be their best option at center. But you know what? Brendel's the veteran, and they're going to go with Brendel. The nice thing is they have a couple guys there in Nugent and Zakel they can go to that I think can play if they get their opportunity. But right now, Chris says absolutely Brendel is his best option. So we'll take him at his word. Joseph Ernberg says 13 more years till Kyle wins us a Super Bowl. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Damon pointed it out. In 1999, he got hired, and that's Reed. He didn't win the Super Bowl until 2019. We're talking about 21 years. Kyle's been here. This is year 8. People are acting like he's got to go if he doesn't win the Super Bowl. Come on, guys. I mean, what do you think? I mean, did Philly really get over on Andy Reid? They kicked out Andy Reid. Yeah, they got a Super Bowl with Peterson. Then they kicked Peterson out. Now they got Sirianni, who's egging on fans, and Reid's piling up Lombardis. And the Eagles are trying to act like they won that deal. I mean, do you want to be the Eagles? Do you want to see Kyle Shanahan win 2, 3, and 4 rings when he finds the right combination of players and coaches in another stop? Or do you want to show a little bit of patience here to see if he can make that final step? I mean, to me, it seems like only logical to say, hey, look, you got a great coach. Get him better players and he'll win. To me, it's a personnel thing. And I don't want to put the finger on Lynch only because Shanahan, they're tied together and they do all these things together.
Kyle's decisions. John Lynch.
I mean, it doesn't even matter whose decision. It's all their decisions, so I'm not going to try to split them. But they got to hit. I mean, let's be totally honest. If I said to you, number one reason the 49ers haven't won the Super Bowl, what would you say? With Shanahan, under Shanahan and Lynch, number one reason they haven't won the Super Bowl. What are you saying?
Defensive lapses.
I would say it's personnel, and they have missed on Reuben Foster, Mike McGlinchey, Solomon Thomas, Trey Lance, Javon Kinlaw. Those 5 players cost them 7 number 1 picks. They have gotten very little out of 7 number 1 draft choices. Only Nick Bosa and this year Ricky Pearsall are the only ones left, really, the first-round draft choices. So, to me, that is it. If they had gotten, instead of getting, 0 for 7, let's say they went 3 for 7.
Right.
And they missed on 4. Four busts, but they hit on 3 guys. They'd have 3 more first-round pick talents on their football team. I think they would have won the Super Bowl by now. It's the failure at the very top of the draft is the number 1 factor, in my opinion, that has kept them between winning a Super Bowl. They got a really good team. If they had gotten those players, they would have gone over the top.
Well, and I also think, they happen to keep running into, the team with the sharpest knife There is. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs are the wrong team to keep on meeting in a Super Bowl if you want to win one of those.
Michael Carroll says, Krug, I'm coming to the Pig in a Pickle for the meetup. Do you like wine or whiskey? Wow, I guess I'd have to say wine. I mean, come on, I'm more of a wine guy than a whiskey guy, but I'm not a white wine guy. So if it's white wine or whiskey, I'll take whiskey. If
Larry,
it's red wine or whiskey, I'll take red wine.
Since we're
'Cause
talking,
if I bring home whiskey, I'll have a great night or two with my wife, and then it will sit in the cabinet until my buddies show up. If I get a beautiful bottle of wine or a nice bottle of wine, to me, that would be the better way to go.
Well,
and
and
by the
red
way, the
pairs
meet
better
and
with
greet
barbecue.
is at Pig in a Pickle at the bye week, during the bye week. And Damon will put out more information, but you're invited and everybody's invited.
Just so you know, Plus Mania 5, the Plusening, is happening once again during the bye week on November 3rd, Larry. We've already picked our date. I hope we don't have conflicting dates.
We might have conflicting dates.
Are you doing it on the Sunday of the bye week or the Saturday? Because we're doing ours on a Sunday.
So Sunday. We're doing ours Sunday. Where were you doing yours?
At the Dubliner.
Maybe,
Dubliner West Portal.
Have you thought about maybe moving yours? You could jump aboard.
It's done. It's done. The Dubliner West Portal, November 3rd.
We shall have to compete, and this is going to be very difficult for a lot of people. Do they show up at yours or show up at mine? We're going to have to find out.
We'll look at it this way. There's only one place to show up. I don't even know where yours is going to be. So
it's that Pig in a Pickle in Corte Madera.
Which one? Okay.
Corte Madera. We'll be in Corte Madera. We'll be in Marin.
All right. Well, we'll be in San Francisco in a sports bar. We're going to be in San Francisco in a sports bar on an NFL Sunday. See you there, everybody.
We'll be at a fantastic barbecue spot in a fantastic spot there in Corte Madera, with lots of very talented people walking by. So stop by and enjoy Corte Madera. Do you want to stop by and see the talent in Corte Madera, or do you would like to go see the talent in San Francisco? Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, and we'll see you all.
Yeah,
in Corte Madera. Okay. We got a little bit of a conflict there with the meet and greets, but you never announced you're very stealth, by the way, these days. Very stealth.
It just
no mention at all. You didn't mention anything to me about the meet and greet. No mention at all about
today was the day I was going to tell you. We finally
no mention at all. Also, the other day you kind of sprung on me the watch party. Didn't know anything about the watch party either. Very secretive. You're very.
Feel free to reach out and text me. Yeah,
you're operating really beneath the scenes. You're really very sly right now. No, I'm just joking. But have fun and go to Damon's meet and greet. Come to my meet and greet. Either way, we'll be at Pig in a Pickle, and we'll enjoy it. You got a final prediction on the game before we jet?
Yeah. Niners lose on a special teams mistake, and I'm fucking pulling my hair out once again.
Niners lose. You're really going to predict the Niners to lose? I like the Niners. I'm going to take the Niners to win this one. I'm going to say the 49ers break through, and they get to 24 points, and they win 24-23. 24-23 Niners. They win by 1. That spread is just something about that spread makes me think, why is it moving towards the Niners? Somebody knows something, but they're always right on the money. I think this is going to be a nail biter that the Niners get. They're due. Let's be honest. The Niners, they've lost 6 of 7 to the Chiefs. They're due.
I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I really do. I want to be wrong, but I am all done predicting the thing that has not happened at any point in time, while the numbers historically say that this win is almost already in the barn for Andy Reid. Coming off of a bye, he beats everyone. Not some of them, just about everyone. He's had 24 weeks coming off of 24 years coming off of a bye week. He's 21-3.
That means he's due, what it really means, he's a hell of a coach. But it also means he's due to lose to Trent Baalke's old Niners. And if I'll tell you this, I'm texting Jet around the clock because I get the vote of confidence last week from Shad Khan. And I told my wife, hey, baby, the vote of confidence. He wrote my name down in an envelope. I think it's time for us to go. You know what I mean?
Tian Yang says, we got right here, all motor Batmobile. It's not a Miata, but it's an all motor Batmobile. Says Damon looks like a vodka guy. Oh, absolutely not. Damon Bruce is a brown liquor guy. He's got a bottle of brown liquor right next to him at all times, just in case he needs it. Vodka is a kind of alcohol that only girls like to put in their drinks for the most part, because it doesn't taste like anything, doesn't really look like anything, doesn't affect anything. It tastes like cranberries if you put enough cranberry juice in it. No, not a vodka guy at all. Damon, definitely brown liquor, and he likes barbecue. So, there's a part of him that definitely does want to be at the Pig and Pickle for the Larry Krueger event, but he's dedicated to be with all the brown liquor at the Dubliner and all of the fans that are going to come out. So there's a conflict of interest there. But boy, these two guys work very well together. Larry, I think you and Damon, you got something nice going. You're going to want to keep it together, even though you're going to be separated on the bye week. You come back together after the bye week, just like the Niners are going to be all together after the bye week, and everything's going to be great.
I'm a Paisan, and I can't go to the Dubliner. Okay, it's just not right. I can't go to the Dubliner. I'm going to tell Peter from Amici's. I'll go to Amici's, and I'll get the lemon pepper wings. Don't get the atomic. Make sure you get them really hot, but not the atomic. It gets a little too hot, Tom. You're always talking about it. And then I'm going to get some. Maybe I'll go down to like a Gordon Biersch and get some garlic fries. Put them in a paper bag. Gordon Biersch. We're going to get some garlic fries, and I'm going to bring them back, and we're going to put them in a bag. And I hope everybody has a great Friday.